while I was sinking into that meditation, I suddenly had the insight that, and this is something I struggled with for years, like commitment and consistency. And I suddenly had an insight about this, that commitment, no matter if it's to a relationship, to your meditation practice, to your new life, whatever it may be, commitment, and then the execution of that commitment, consistency, do not require effort. And this is how I burnt myself out, right? And this is also how I developed a resistance or a judgment about commitment. I thought, oh, it's unconscious that you have to commit to something. Like, why can't you just loosen up and go with the flow? Like, commitment is so much in the ego mind, like clinging to something. But in the past, I burnt out because I forced myself to commit to something and then execute consistency, and I would grind myself down. And that's because in that mind frame I was previously in, commitment and consistency required effort. But what is effort? And this is a deeper contemplation I'll go down in journaling, but what came up spontaneously was effort is only there because effort in itself is a form of, it's an uncomfortable feeling. In its essence, it's a pain. And effort in that moment is a resistance to what we are choosing to do, right? Because if we had no resistance to doing something at all, it would not require effort, right? So literally, we conjure up the effort. The effort is not inherent in the situation. Like sitting down on a chair and meditating, why would that require effort? Like objectively, your body's just resting. So why does it require effort? It's psychological effort that is created by psychological resistance to the act. So you have to employ willpower and effort to work against the resistance that you've created. So it's like arm wrestling against yourself. Like you've created the effort and you've created the resistance. Does that make sense? It's effort pushing against your self-created resistance. And it's also a resistance or clinging and attachment of the other thing that is distracting you or that you'd rather do. So for example, in this moment, instead of meditating, I might want to go up and eat breakfast or start working and whatever it may be. Like there are a million different things that you might want to do during the activity that you are choosing, and that these are basically in that moment relative to that activity a distraction, right? It's distracting us from what we are choosing to do. And this distraction is pulling us away because we are addicted to it or we cling to it. Does that make sense? So for example, work is an emotional addiction for workaholics. Food is a craving from the body, right? So these things like commitment and consistency require effort because you both have to resist the addictions that pull you away and the cravings, and you have to push against the resistance of the act itself, as I explained earlier. Now, the simple solution to all of this, and again, this is an insight I've had in the meditation where I was raising my energy, right? And this is what Dr. Joe also repeatedly said. Your energy determines your ability to understand things. Like I could not have had this insight I'm about to share in a second if my energy and my consciousness wasn't expanded, which is so unbelievable for our mind because our mind arrogantly thinks that it understands the world with its language and labels, but actually it's our heart that knows the world directly through consciousness and energy and understanding and feeling and sensing and experiencing. So now, with that precursor, what did I realize about consistency and commitment? Well, I actually wrote it down in my journal. Commitment and consistency don't require effort. They require letting go and relaxing into the chosen activity. Staying with the chosen activity, being with the chosen activity, and letting go everything else, right? Surrendering everything else. So then consistency and commitment become an act of dedication and devotion and persistence, but not in the sense of effort, but more in a sense of orgasmic heart opening and letting go, if that makes sense. Now, what does that mean practically? Well, practically it means that when you sit down and I meditated, and you can exchange this with any activity or any habit you want to install, right? Like when you sit down and notice that there's resistance to sitting down and doing the activity, right? Now, in that moment, that first resistance towards the activity, I can overcome, not through effort, by simply relaxing into it, because it's in that moment it's painful to sit there in its essence or uncomfortable, so I can relax into that and surrender to my choice to sit down, no matter how uncomfortable it is. And when I notice a thought that's pulling me away, I let it go, I surrender it, and relax back into the present moment, into the chosen activity. And that becomes really a devotional act. The dedication is needed to choose the devotion, and keep going is where persistence comes in. So dedication and persistence is a choice by the mind. Devotion is the surrender of the heart and the actual act in the moment. So letting go, dedication, and persistence are all choices by the mind to fall back into the devoted heart, the heart that is devoted in the moment to what was chosen. And this is where the heart-mind connection comes in, which I've had beautiful breakthroughs during the Dr. Joe Dispenza meditation retreat, where I realized when the heart speaks a wish, the mind's responsibility is to not doubt it. Its responsibility is to pave the way for the heart. The heart is a compass, gives the direction, and the mind follows without questioning it, because the heart knows and the mind doesn't. The mind is a tool. It's there to serve the heart and put things into action and build the bridges. And when you create a new habit, it's the heart has to choose it. So it actually, because that's like also one of the reasons why effort is required, because our mind has chosen the new habit. When our mind has chosen what we want to do, like, oh, now I want to have a meditation habit, then it has already failed before it started, because it will require effort, because it's not something that's aligned and meant to be, if our heart is not on board with it. But if we are really connected to our subconscious mind, our soul, our heart, whatever you want to call it, then we choose habits not from our ego mind, which is selfishly trying to get something, but from our heart to selflessly serve the world, to become more aligned with our divine purpose, with our life purpose, with something that inspires us, that's in flow, that's meant to be. So when our heart chooses the habit, that's when the heart can devote itself to it. And in order for the heart to have the freedom to stay with its chosen activity, to be with it, to relax into it, the mind is its guardian, it's its warrior who stays dedicated, who is persistent, and who keeps letting go all the other distractions. It wards them off. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And that wasn't even the breakthrough. The greatest breakthrough of this meditation here today was